how you view life. We know how you see things. So the do's on the CV, the do's, what are the do's? What are the things you should do on your CV? Yes. Before you do the CV or before you submit your CV, you need to read about this opportunity, the scholarship opportunity, the school you are applying for. We need to read about it. So when you read about it, then your CV is going to be what? Is going to be written to solve that particular problem, the problem you saw. The tone and the language of your CV must be formal. The tone and the language of your CV must be what? Formal. Must be formal. If they say must be formal in our previous school or in our previous education, when they say something must be formal, it means we don't use abbreviated forms, we don't use shorthands, we don't use those things. The formatting of your CV must be consistent. The text colors you are using, the colors must be what? Consistent. Must be consistent. If you are using a certain font, that font should go through. Okay. If you are using a certain color, that color must go through. You shouldn't be using multicolored. If you are using one color, that one color must go through the CV. Okay. Then list the educational qualification in a reverse chronological order. So reverse chronological order is that if somebody here is in a university, he should write the university education first. Then the next one is what? Secondary education. Before you go to what? Basic education. So the one you need to write first is what? Second, university education. But those of you who are SHS graduates, the first educational qualification should be what? XHS. The SHS you completed. Then before you go to basic school. But now after you finish SHS, the employer is not looking for your basic school qualification. So it's a waste of time to go and put it on your CV. If you are looking for work or you are looking for scholarship, they are not looking for your basic school. And the same applies to the university student or the university graduate. When you are applying for opportunity, they are not looking for your secondary education qualification. It adds nothing to, unless on the university, on the opportunity website or opportunity you saw, mention that you should talk about your previous, your SHS. So as a university graduate or as a university student, you don't dwell so much on what your secondary education, because it will add little or nothing to the opportunity you are applying for. So the do's again, the next thing is what? After you've done with your CV, after you've written your CV, you need to let someone proofread it, because your CV is an official document that will invite you for interview. It shouldn't have mistakes, shouldn't have a lot of correctable mistakes, such as mistakes that can be corrected. There are some mistakes that can be easily corrected. If it's a grammatical error, maybe it's a cliche, we don't know, that one, it can go like that. But if it's not a cliche, it's something that can be corrected, it should be proofread by somebody. Then we correct that mistake before it is being sent or it is being submitted. So let somebody proofread your CV. Let somebody punch holes in your CV. These are do's you have to do. Let somebody punch holes in your CV, and then you can, at the end of the day, you will go to the drawing table and do what? The right thing. Okay. A CV is also a public document. You shouldn't be like so much secretive about it. Let people read it, because many of us will be hiding the CV. But later, when you get to the employer's office, all those CVs are there. Some even throw them into the dustbin. So you shouldn't be so secretive about it. Let somebody read your CV. Let somebody punch holes in it. In that, the person is preparing you to what? Do well. Then don'ts, things we shouldn't do on our CV. I think I've spoken about it. No abbreviation or shorthands. No repetition of the same idea. There are some CVs that you want to create leadership session. So if you want to create leadership session, you shouldn't talk about your leadership whilst you talk about your university. If you want to create leadership session, you shouldn't talk about leadership in your secondary school as the SP. If you talk about your leadership role as SP in the secondary school. Then when you come, then you don't need to have leadership session, leadership and community engagement session, because you have already talked about your position as the SP in the secondary school. So you write secondary school, Ketasco, 2018, certificate, WASI, leadership, school prefect, house captain. If you write it there, then you don't need to have a full session for what? You don't need to have a full session for leadership again. So some people will advise that when you go to your secondary school session, you say secondary school, Keta Senior High Technical School, course offered, general science, certificate, WASI, year graduated, 2018. So when you write that, then you can leave the leadership you took in that school. Then you create a leadership profile for it. So that is what repetition. Repetition, you don't repeat the same idea. Or you're in secondary school, you took award and you've written it there, awards taken at Ketasco. Now, when you come to award session, then you don't need to create a session for awards and awards again, awards and accomplishment. You don't need to create a session. Then don't include irrelevant hobbies. Don't include irrelevant hobbies. In most cases, we are serious here. We are coming to employ you to work as what? A cleaner. Then you are talking about your hobbies like swimming. How is the swimming relevant to the cleaning job? How is the hobby relevant? So in most CVs, they will ask you to write hobby. But hobby is something that you were doing that it's not going to be relevant to the company. In most cases, hobbies are not relevant to the company. There are many CVs I look at. The hobby they are talking about is not relevant. It's not relevant to the company. So if that hobby is relevant, that hobby you can make it to a skill, and that skills and competence, then that's all. So don't create any session for hobbies. Hobbies are not important to the company. The company you are applying for, the scholarship you are applying for. If you are a swimmer, what would that? They are employing you as a teacher. Then you are telling them you are a swimmer. Is it maritime university you are applying for? No. If it's maritime university, make that swimming hobby a skills so that they can see there. So hobby session should be what? Abolished from CVs. In many cases, because they are not of any importance to the company, the organization, or the scholarship opportunity. They don't need your hobby. What do they use your hobby for? If the hobby you think is important, put it under skills or put it under ability. Then don't insert pictures in your CVs. In most cases, it's not appreciated. Don't insert pictures in your CV. Avoid spelling mistakes. How can you avoid spelling mistakes? That's when you allow people to read your CV, people to go through your CV. Then also avoid personal pronoun like I. No, it will not help. Find a way to avoid what? I. Let's say I assisted 21 students to do their examination. No, you should avoid using the pronoun because the CV is for you. It should not be including I plentifully. No, it's not going to help you. I will show you samples, then you see how you help the 20 students to pass their examination without writing the word I, because the CV is for you. You don't need to be writing those things. Are we together? Type yes for me. Are we together? All right. I know we are together, so let's move on. So CV formatting. CV formatting. Since CV is a professional document, the formatting, they appreciate what? Font type. The font type should be your Times New Roman. The font type should be Times New Roman. The section has headers, or the heading of the section should be size 14. It can be underlined neatly or no underline. So if you underline it, then it's fine. But if you don't want to underline it, then you need to what? Bolding the heading, and it should be size 14. Then the body of the CV, the font types, the body of the CV. It should be your size 11 or size 12. Should be size 11 or size 12. That is the body. And use bulletin to talk about your achievement, your points you want to write. Use bulletin. Use bulletin on what? Your CV. Keep the formatting consistent. Keep consistent formatting, text and colors. So your text and colors should be your consistent. It should be consistent that when you are using Times New Roman, you should continue using Times New Roman throughout it. And if the header is size 14, all the header should be size 14, and all the body should be size 11 or size 12. If that is it, you go by the same thing. It makes the CV readable. Then note, a CV is what? A CV stands for curriculum vitae, or a CV stands for resume, depending on where you are coming from, either USA or UK. Some people also define resume as the one you have to submit for work, because the CV is having a lot of things. Then the resume is the smaller portion of the CV that will have the details. So the resume can be called the tailored CV. A tailored CV is the CV that you have written to solve a particular problem or to answer the question. You get it? A CV that you have written to solve, or you have built to solve, to answer a particular advert. So if it's to answer advert, you have to edit it to solve that problem. That is called a CV. And some people give a definition that it should be between 2 to 12 pages. My sister, my brother, at your age, no employer would waste time reading 12-page CV. Your CV should be maximum 1 page. Maximum CV for SHS graduate should be 1 page. University student, 2 page. Keep it simple. No employer is ready to go and read 12-page CV. What at all? What have you done? Have you published any book? Have you written any book? What knowledge have you added to the knowledge bank? If you have read from a source that is saying 12 pages, the 12 pages is talking about professor's CV, not you SHS graduate. What have you done to write 12 pages, to write 4 pages? No. SHS student, 1 page maximum. University student or university graduate, it should be of 2 pages maximum. If it should be plain text, it should be 2 pages. And you have to do your formatting well to ensure that it is simple and you carry the information you want the world to know. 6 pages document, what are you going to use it for? Which employer is going to be ready to be reading all the 6 pages? No, keep it simple. 1 page is fine. 2 pages is better. So a tailored CV, I'm talking about it already. When I say tailored, it means it is what written to the company for that particular purpose or for that particular advert. You have seen the advert before you come and build your CV to respond to that particular thing you saw. Not the existing one, then you just submit like that without editing. They are looking for a teacher who needs whose qualification should be teach in a classroom for 3 years. Now on your CV that you have written for the first time, it doesn't have qualification for teacher, or it doesn't talk about teaching, though you've been doing teaching, but I didn't talk about it. So the tailored CV is the one that you're going to edit what you have to talk about your teaching ability before you submit. So don't do that mistake by submitting anything you have. And having a written down CV helps you anytime you see opportunity. Even if you see opportunity and the deadline is tomorrow, you can be able to edit your CV this evening. Tomorrow you submit. But if you don't have any, then you are going to start from scratch to build it from now, or to write it now. Then you miss the opportunity already. Then you miss it. And if you are going to write some now and submit tomorrow, it will be full of mistakes. I can assure you. It will be full of mistakes. You can't do the formatting. Formatting will be inconsistent. You may not be invited for the interview. So because of that, we take out this responsibility to bring you together, to do this one for you. So you can have something down. When opportunity comes, then you can what? Go and edit before what you submit. And then please don't just, when they say submit your CV, don't just submit your CV in a Word format. No, your CV should be converted to PDF to avoid inconsistency. Your CV can be 2 pages, but if it is in Word, when you submit, it can be 3 pages, 4 pages. Your CV should be saved in what PDF form with your name. Don't write my CV. You submit a CV with the name my CV. Now the employer also have my CV on his laptop. So when many CVs came to his laptop with my CV, the employers are busy people. People who need your CV are busy people. You give them a lot of work, they are not going to respond to you. They will not mind you. On everybody's machine or everybody's laptop, there are a lot of my CV. So don't send your own like that. Write your own Freeman Poha underscore CV. Then you can submit, or CV underscore Freeman Poha before you submit. And it should be in a PDF format. It shouldn't be Word, because if it's Word, it can be what altered at any time. It can be tempered with. It can be what tempered with. So don't do that mistake. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Few websites that you can build your CV. Few websites that you can check up after here to build your CV. Yes. Mr. Bafo, I think you have the CV for us. If you are available, let's have a look at it, or the network has taken him away. Okay, so this is the end. This is the end of the presentation. I have the CV samples I'll be presenting to you again. So if you have a question, you prepare your question, and then we take